This video was sponsored by BlueStacks, a free Android emulator that you can use to play Azur Lane and other games on Google Play on your PC instead. If you're interested, you can check it out in the pinned comment or the description below. Hey guys, I'm Ander or FBI Pinup on the Lexington server, and today, as requested by many of you guys in the comments, I'll be sharing some of my tips of how I managed to complete my PR ships relatively quickly. Now of course, as a quick disclaimer, there's a ton of people out there that actually managed to complete their PR ships much faster than me. If you want an example, check out Kimochi's channel. He's an absolute PR farming chad. But in this video, I'll be discussing my own strategies and giving out some helpful tips that I use to speed up my own PR grind. With that being said, get into the video. Now, the very first step, as known by many people, for your PR grind is to get the proper ships for that grind. A very good place to start for PR grinding will of course be selecting the best ships for the job. What I do is usually go to the lab and then fleet tech, and say if I were to farm for someone maybe like Drake, who requires Royal Navy Vanguards, I would click then Royal Navy, and then the Vanguard categories, which is going to be destroyers, light cruisers, and heavy cruisers. From there, I would look at some good ships that I could use potentially for my grind. Generally speaking, higher rarity ships, so someone like Belfast, will perform excellently and are very ideal candidates. But however, there are also some few exceptions that you might want to consider, because lower rarity stuff can save you a ton of oil, and since PR ship grinding takes a tremendous amount of oil and time, having a couple ships to reduce that oil cost will go and help you benefit a lot because you will not have to worry about running low on oil ever again. So some really nice oil efficient people are, for instance, Comet, who is only a gray rarity, and the best would be, of course, Amazon, which I will get to sooner in the video because of her special skill that increases XP gain. So you would want to pick some of those ships. Now for me, at least, I would go and have some higher level ships that can go and take the higher stages, for instance Belfast, Sirius, and Swiftshire. And for lower level stages, when I want to just chill or just don't have that much oil, I would use my cheaper fleet, which will be Amazon, Foxhound, and Comet. All of these are HMS Vanguards, and they will all contribute to my PR farm. So this is very ideal for just farming up that Drake or Cheshire, whatever you call it. They're very good for that. Now, the most simple tip ever that some people just for some reason overlook is to simply put the ships that you're using in your PR grind in the dorms. Now let me clear up a misconception some people still don't understand. So, the experience gained from the dorm itself, so this experience that you'll get from the food, will not count towards the PR grind requirement. Then you might ask, why should I put them in the dorms, Ender? Well, the dorm allows your ships to go and stay happy and maintain their happy morale. When your ship is glowing with happiness, for an example, you can just quickly not go to the depot, then go to the dock. For example, click Amazon Retrofit, you will see that her little icon here is a glowing happy face that says something good is about to happen. And right here it says, green letters, EXP bonus. So when your ship is glowing with happiness from being in the dorms and having a very good morale, you will gain a massive 20% extra XP from battles. So if you put 3 ships that you're putting in the dorms, so let's go and recap again. So go back to the dorms, and as long as those ships are in the dorms, they will each get a 1.2 times extra multiplier in every battle. So I would have my Amazon here, my Comet here, and my Foxhound is in the other one. As long as they have a high morale, they will get each individually a 1.2 times multiplier for their regular XP battle. This will give you a lot more XP per battle, so just please do it. It's the easiest thing that you can do, and it will drastically reduce the amount of time that it takes to farm for your PR. Now one extra little tip that I just can't refuse to not put in is to just take advantage of in-game events. For instance, this Nocturne Before Nightfall event is going to give a 20% extra XP boost to these 4 ships, Jamaica, Graf Spee, Vampire, and Belfast. So if you use any of these 4 ships right now, it will be an incredible time for the PR grind, because, as you can see by a little tiny banner under them, they will get an additional 20% extra XP. And of course, since PR grinding is all about getting more XP, This is self-explanatory, it's very good to farm right now. Now going back to my previous point about Amazon and other ships like that, certain ships in Azur Lane have abilities that actually increase the overall experience gain of a certain ship type. Now for PR grinding, you can actually utilize this. So for instance, Amazon right here is going to tremendously speed up that whole process because her skill right here is Prototype Destroyer, giving an additional 18% to your destroyers. Now to name a few other people, of course you've got Langley, Hosho, Yubari, and just so many more that I probably forgot to mention one. So anyway, putting some of these matching will definitely help you out in the PR grind. Now the first example, Amazon, of course, is incredibly useful for farming any PR ship that requires Royal Navy Vanguards, since she is HMS. So these people would be someone like Neptune, Cheshire, or Drake, and having two other Royal Navy destroyers, like who I have, who are going to be Comet and of course Foxhound, are going to allow you to farm very efficiently because they will all get an additional 18% XP along with all those other XP buffs that I mentioned already. So the second example, if you need any more examples, will be someone like Yubari. So right here, here's Yubari. She is amazing for farming any PR ship that requires Sakura Empire Vanguards, such as Ibuki, Kitakaze, and Azuma. So putting Yubari in with two other Sakura Empire cruisers such as Jinsu or Noshiro or Isuzu Retrofit, or someone like that will allow you to get a ton of extra experience because of her cruiser XP gain. Now there is one big misconception, however. You would not want to use one of these ships if they don't contribute to the PR ship's XP themselves. So if you were to go and take this for example, I would not put Yubari Retrofit to go and farm for someone that requires Royal Navy Vanguards like Cheshire. It is just better to go and put an additional Royal Navy Vanguard like Sirius instead of switching it out just to go and get that Yubari cruiser buff. So I would not do that because just putting an actual ship instead of the Yubari will allow you to get much more XP towards the PR grind than just putting that Yubari in just for that buff. So yes, just put 3 of the Royal Navy Vanguards if you're farming for someone. Don't trade them out for someone that doesn't match, like Yubari. Now another super quick way to go and increase that XP gain is to go and aim for MVP. As you may know, after a battle ends, there will be one ship in your fleet that will be awarded the MVP award for doing the most damage. Now that ship will receive an additional 2 times XP multiplier that stacks with the other experience buffs. So if you were able to make a fleet where the ships that you are using for your PR grind, for instance it would be any of these Vanguards that I'm using for the PR grind, you will get basically an extra ship's worth of experience in every battle. So as you can see right here as this battle gets wrapped up, Amazon Retrofit gets the MVP award and she gets double the XP as the other ships. So as you can see, 851 for no MVP, and MVP just completely doubled that. So since I got double the XP on a ship that I'm using for PR grind, that is basically 4 Vanguards worth of XP for 3 ships. So if you can go and manage to go and create a fleet where the ships you are using for your PR grind always get MVP, you will always get an additional 2 times extra buff for one of those ships that you are using. This will help speed up your PR grinding by a lot. Now there are 2 reasons for why farming for backline PR ships is so much easier than Vanguards. First, being that backliners usually get more MVPs easier, since they generally will do more damage than your Vanguard. And there's also one other thing that I'm going to be talking about, and that is because of the Flagship Bonus. Now the Flagship, which is the back middle position, for instance that would be Essex in this case, she will earn an additional 50% experience in each sortie. Multiplied by other bonuses like the MVP bonus, your backline ship will earn insane amounts of XP per battle. So for instance, as you can see right here, Essex has both the Flagship and MVP award, so Ryuho would just get the normal amount of XP at 1216. Essex over here though, gets the 1.5 times boost, well 50% extra XP just from Flagship, and she gets the 2 times XP boost, which is multiplied on, which is from MVP. Together, that will just give you crazy amounts of XP, and that's why farming for backline ships is so easy. Now one more extra PR tip for increasing your experience per battle is to go and use the difficulty system properly. Now, as you noticed, your opponents actually have difficulty ratings in this game consisting of 3 different levels. Now there's triangle 1, then there's 2 triangles, and then of course 3 triangles. As you may guess, the more triangles an enemy has, the harder they are. But however, harder enemies also give more experience. So if you are able to go and beat them, you should be aiming to go and clear the harder enemies first for the most experience so that your PR grind takes less time. So I will quickly show the difference of XP between the 1 triangle fleet and the 3 triangle fleet right now. So here is the experience gain of a 3 triangle fleet, also known as the large fleet. You will see that the normal vanguards will get 927 and MVP will get double that at 1854. Remember this number. Now here is the experience gain of a small or 1 triangle fleet. As you can see, MVP only got 1546 XP and vanguards only got 773 XP. This is a bit less, so you should definitely be aiming for those higher difficulty opponents to get much more XP. Now, one final strategy that's not really going to increase your experience gain, but is just good to go and remember. I shouldn't have to say this, but you should consider how much oil you have to go and determine what map you should be farming. If you don't have a lot of oil, let's say under 5,000 for example, you probably shouldn't farm with a 3-3 fleet on 12-4. That's because they would cost way too much oil and you are going to go bankrupt in no time. Instead, consider farming an easier map that costs less and just run a lower team like this. Maybe run 7-2 or something. So if I'm running low on oil, I'd take a step back and farm an easier stage like 7-2 for example, with a lower level fleet like this one with Terror, Amazon, Foxhound, and Comet. However, if I have a ton of oil like right now, I could just go all the way over to 12-4 or some higher level stage and complete it with a much better fleet that costs more oil, so then I can go and get more XP. I would just go and keep flipping this back and forth so that I will always have something to go and do no matter what and never run out of oil. So even though you are getting less oil if you are farming a lower level stage like 7-2, at least you're not out of oil. So yeah, that's just a little bit. For a more detailed list of maps that you should farm, go and check out my other video that talks about all the best farming stages in Azur Lane. It'll pop up probably like right now. As a quick recap to go and just explain everything and put stuff in perspective, this is how I'm farming for Drake right now. First step, I've got the correct ships for the job. For harder maps like 12-4, I'm running Belfast, Sirius, and Swiftshire as said earlier. They're very good ships and are perfectly capable of handling a more difficult stage like this so that I can get more experience since it's a difficult stage. For days where my oil is lower, where I just don't feel like farming a harder stage, I'll go and use a cheaper fleet with Amazon, Foxhound, and Comet, and handle an easier stage like 7-2, along with Amazon's 18% extra bonus XP boost to the other HMS destroyers. This is going to speed up the process, and they're both very, very good XP teams. I've got plenty of oil today, so maybe I'll go and do a bit of 12-4. But of course I won't be grinding too much, since of course that new event's coming out very, very soon, tomorrow actually. So just keep on stockpiling your oil, your coins, and of course your cubes, because the new HMS ships are coming. Yeah. With that last tip finished, that will bring an end to my PR, EXP, how do I do it farming guide. As always, if you found this information helpful, consider dropping a like and subscribing. Don't forget to press the notification bell for my future uploads as well. Feel free to leave a comment on this video if you have any questions that need to be answered, and I'll try my best to reply. If you're interested, you can always join my Discord server if you need advice or just want a place to relax. That's all for this video, so I'll catch you guys next time. Bye!